Sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone. Luckily for companies that dumped a successful product mascot campaign, they can always bring it back to emulate that success again and maybe tap into some nostalgia. These mascots were retired for a variety of reasons, such as becoming irrelevant to the times or audience burnout. However, at some point in history, they returned for a brief or extended period of time. So in this video, I'll be covering the most notable product mascots that were revived by their company after being cancelled. This will only count brands that continued production after rescinding their mascot, and not products that went away altogether before being revived with the classic mascot. So get ready for the top 10 product mascot and spokesperson revivals. Number 10. Dig'em the Frog for Honey Smacks cereal. I never see Smacks advertised anymore, but they include them in those variety packs with the mini cereal boxes, so they'll always have their relevance. Dig'em was introduced in the 1970s after Smacks struggled to find a full-time mascot using all sorts of characters. The frog had an innocent gimmick where he interacts with live-action actors while a jingle plays. He's all about saying Dig'em as he high-fives everyone since he's a cool kid. He was retired in 1986 for Wally the Bear, since bears like honey, which just so happens to be the cereal's main ingredient. Well, actually that would be sugar, but we're promoting a semblance of health here, so honey sounds better. Wally the Bear was pulled fast since he wasn't really popular. He has one ad where he offers a kid like $100,000 for a spoonful of his Honey Smacks, which is already illogical considering $100,000 can buy many boxes of cereal. Though supermarkets don't normally let bears walk down the aisles, so I see where he's coming from. Anyway, Kellogg's quickly realized their mistake and pulled him after about a year, going back to what works. Kellogg's did not even want to risk making a new mascot. He was gone for such a short period of time, it's more like they sent Dig'em on an expensive vacation rather than full-time retirement. They just handed the keys back to the frog and let him take over the box and ads once again. Dig'em had standard antics for a mascot with his return, where he was now rivals with a cat who would constantly steal Smacks. Not the most groundbreaking plots, but Kellogg's was just happy to have something that appealed to the kids on the market. Number 9. The Doublemint Twins. As early as the 1940s, Wrigley Gum used the Doublemint Twins to promote Double Mint Gum, first as drawings and then as live-action twins, who would switch off with new twins every few years accompanied by a jingle. This would last up until the 1980s, before changing the idea slightly for advertisements. For the 90s and early 2000s, Doublemint kept a similar jingle with just many pairs of normal twins appearing in the same ad that were not officially spokespeople, meaning the official twins were retired. However, in 2005, the Doublemint twins literally popped back into existence. This ad had them biking and skating across modern times in their classic sort of look, singing a self-aware parody of the jingle about how today's world was too extreme with its malls and reality TV, claiming the world needed to bring back the simple things since these twins were modeled after the ones from the 50s and 60s. After a few ads with the classic-style twins, various new Doublemint twins were introduced as duos of people wearing the same green clothes rather than identical twins, promoting the new Doublemint mints, since these twins and the mints were different from the classic gum. However, Wrigley did not want to stick with the throwback for too long since the twin campaign was axed by 2008. Being replaced by a Chris Brown ad campaign based around his at-the-time new song Forever. So basically, the complete opposite idea of a 1950s throwback. Number 8. Morris the Cat for 9 Lives Cat Food. I discussed his pre-revival iteration in my Arrogant product mascot video, where I described him as a posh, pampered cat who only wanted time to himself and the highest quality of life, such as 9 Lives cat food for all meals. Morris was prominent in the 1970s and remained an icon, but his appearances dwindled in the public eye around the 1990s. Afterwards, he was occasionally brought out for special sponsorships, like 9Live's work in promoting animal rescue shelters. However, in 2014, we saw a full revival of Morris. Carrie Schliemann, business director at 9Live's parent company, said a big influencer for the new Morris ads is because cats rule the internet right now. He once again received his own ads, but he was changed up. Aspects of the ads show Morris mirroring modern technology trends, now being equipped with Google Glass or a parody of it, along with pairing up Morris with digital and technology news site Mashable. He also received a personality shift, since Schliemann said the old Morris was finicky and maybe slightly negative, while the updated Morris is charmingly choosy. Though to me, the charm of the original Morris was his arrogance, since he was easily diverted by a can of cat food. I feel the original Morris ads are ageless, while the new Morris seems to be more of a product of his time. I will give credit, though, that the personality of the new Morris works better in promoting 9Live's animal rescue efforts, so his revamping still makes some sense. Number 7. The Noid for Domino's Pizza. I'd consider the Noid an anti-mascot, since he represented the company, but he was the villain of his commercials. His goal was to ruin the pizzas Domino's was delivering to customers. That was his life's ambition. He had a pizza crusher. This tool could have so many more productive uses, probably in construction. And why would you label it? You've ruined any sort of stealth you'd have in your mission, which was already compromised by your rabbit-like outfit that doesn't fit into the standard clothing options of society. This campaign ran from 1986 to 1995. Once Domino's retired him, it seemed they wanted to keep him out of the public eye for good, and he never led an ad campaign again. However, in 2016, they brought him back as a background character, recognizing his legacy, as in commercials talking about their customer rewards program that will sometimes show Domino's superfans alongside the Noid or with Noid representation. It was not a traditional revival, but the company decided to acknowledge that he's around if you just ask. Also, he was briefly revived in 2011 on their Facebook page with a little flash game, so technically he's been revived twice in a minor way. Number 6. The Duracell Bunny. This is a different scenario compared to the other entries on this list, since the Duracell Bunny was discontinued in North America in the 1980s at first, but not entirely in European countries during that time period. However, the reason he was brought back to the US and Canada is pretty interesting. The most famous ad with the Duracell Bunny shown in the US was with a group of electronic drum-beating bunnies, where the one powered by a Duracell battery was the only one still active by the end of the ad. After some time off in the US and Canada, it decided to come back for one reason: another rabbit. Yup, the Energizer Bunny parodying the Duracell Bunny premiering in 1989 made the Duracell Bunny come out of retirement in the early 90s in North America. Discussed in my coolest product mascot video, Energizer basically had an intro like the Duracell Bunny commercial, with Energizer's bunny stepping in and looking cooler. Duracell did not want the competition to exist on a character clearly based on their own, without a mascot fight. Still, the Duracell Bunny could never reach Energizer's popularity in North America. In fact, Energizer made sure of it. When Duracell's bunny trademark expired for US markets, Energizer swooped in and applied for the trademark of a battery bunny, forcing the Duracell Bunny to go back into retirement in North America circa 1992 after the alleged Duracell Bunny revival. The agreement between the companies stated Duracell could not use their bunny in North American ads or packaging. He still can be shown in many parts of the world, so he won't be forgotten anytime soon. Number 5. The Hamburglar for McDonald's. McDonaldland was a powerhouse in advertising, putting Ronald McDonald and his friends in a fantasy world themed around McDonald's. However, the misleading advertising to kids glorifying the food caused McDonald's to eventually shut down the promotions and saw the characters progressively put aside in ads other than the main mascot, Ronald McDonald. One of these characters was the cartoonish Hamburglar, who mostly says "robble robble" and, as his name implies, burgles hams. McDonald's decided to bring him back for a 2015 ad campaign on social media, promoting the new sirloin burgers. I presume the main reason he was brought back to promote the normal menu rather than the kids' meals was to avoid any controversy and trigger some nostalgia for the 80s and 90s kids. However, the big change was the design, as he went from a person in a cartoon costume to just a guy who bought the Halloween costume and customized it with a jacket rather than a cape. More importantly, he's too handsome to be the Hamburglar. This guy has all of his teeth and wears stripes because he's stylish, rather than because he's an escaped prisoner or something like that. So with people saying he's strangely attractive for a Hamburglar, it must have been a success, right? Well, actually, sales for the sirloin burger were not up to McDonald's expectations, and their sales were actually down after the reintroduction. So this was one revival that may have been best left alone. Number 4. Mr. Whipple for Charmin toilet paper. Mr. Whipple was the iconic spokesman for Charmin, played by actor Dick Wilson. His main role as a supermarket employee was making sure no customer squeezed the Charmin, since it's so soft, no one could help themselves from feeling that soft tissue. Then Mr. Whipple would scold them as he squeezes it himself and gets called out for his double standards. These are very memorable commercials since Mr. Whipple is clearly a nice guy, he just has one very specific rule. Charmin retired the ad campaign after 21 years in 1985, assumingly since the ads ran their course and the actor portraying Mr. Whipple was just about ready to retire from acting in general. Still, that did not stop Charmin from bringing back the ad campaign for one last hurrah. In 1999, Charmin advertised that someone big is coming out of retirement. Who could it be? None other than Mr. Whipple, still portrayed by Dick Wilson. The plot of these ads was Mr. Whipple was refusing to stay retired, since he had to tell people about how Charmin is even better, no longer caring about who squeezes the Charmin. This was just one series of ads though, since he was replaced a year later by the current dancing bear mascots. It was still a nice send-off to Mr. Whipple, honoring a former big mascot or spokesperson before bringing in the new generation of long-standing Charmin mascots. Number 3. Charlie the Tuna for Star-Kissed Tuna. I cannot imagine Star-Kissed without Charlie gracing the cans. He's part of the triad of tuna mascots. However, there was a period in the 90s where Star-Kissed just went without a mascot. The original Charlie the Tuna ads from the 60s through the 80s have Charlie attempting to show how he has good taste in life, like studying art, since Star-Kissed only sells tuna that tastes good. The punchlines of these ads were always that Charlie will never taste good because he does not understand double meanings of words. However, Star-Kissed was kind enough to give him a job as the mascot since he could never be used for consumption. So does that mean if Charlie wanted to be the fish in the can, he was a masochist? Anyway, Star-Kissed halted the campaign in 1989, and after a break, Charlie started appearing again, sort of. Charlie had brief test market ads in 1995 and then disappeared again until coming back at full force in 1999. He no longer had a running gag or gimmick though, he was just a normal mascot who educates us about the brand. Outside of his speaking mannerisms and that he is a blue tuna, the updated Charlie seemed to just be around to give the franchise a recognizable face, no longer being the center of attention in most Star-Kissed commercials. Though Star-Kissed occasionally references the classic ads to bring the campaign back to its roots. I'm not sure why Star-Kissed did not fully revive him after the test ads in the mid-90s since he's a very universal mascot. Maybe they realized how blasphemous it seems to have a tuna fish sell his own brethren as food. Number 2. Speedy Alka-Seltzer. This is probably the most simple Mascot revival. When Speedy Alka-Seltzer was created in 1951, he told us all about what Alka-Seltzer does to stop indigestion and sang his little jingle. After his retirement in 1964, he came back in 1976 and basically did the same thing, now singing the more memorable slogan, "Plop, plop, fizz, fizz." After his second retirement, he had yet another revival in 2010 and still appears in ads as of this video. There's less singing in these ads, but the commercials still have the same formula and charm, telling people about the benefits of Alka-Seltzer products with no other major gimmicks. Modern Speedy is animated with CGI rather than stop-motion effects like his previous incarnations, but some of his modern movements pay homage to his stop-motion origins. I guess it goes to show that Alka-Seltzer did not want to, or even need to, change an advertising icon. Number 1. There's an ad campaign that revived a character and really got the public's attention. So much so that when the revival of this mascot was retired, he was popular enough to be brought back again. And he was already number 1 on a previous list of mine, so he gets that honor twice. Number 1. The Burger King. You can't kill the king. In 1955, the restaurant took its royal duties literally with an actual king as the mascot, who occasionally was redesigned. His most notable design pre-retirement was the late 70s, early 80s iteration. This king was a magical singing king that teleported kids to Burger King. He was the parallel to Ronald McDonald, having a bunch of fast food magic and a whimsical nature. They were standard ads for children, so there was not an outcry when the king was retired. The king disappeared by the late 1980s and was replaced by the BK Kids Club, with no word on why the company was all of a sudden all burgers and no kings. Burger King was just fine having the king in its name stand as a metaphor with no actual king mascot. That was until 2004 when Burger King hired an ad agency. The agency reps were looking at a helium canister in the shape of the last version of the king's head for ideas. Then someone thought, hey, what if the king from the 70s had a head that looked exactly like this canister, meaning a guy dressed as the king with a plastic inanimate face. And thus, the king was revived with a twist. These new ads started in 2004 and were meant to appeal to an adult audience. To the advertisers, this meant surreal humor that is not surprising in scenarios featuring a silent guy wearing a plastic mask. This style was similar to Burger King's weird subservient chicken campaign a few years prior, which was considered successful, possibly explaining why the King ads followed this route. Not to mention, the mid-2000s had many uncanny, strange, and just random humor in highly talked about ads. Love it or hate it. Though Burger King wanted to shift its demographics in 2011, so the king was retired, and for good reason. This type of humor only goes so far. But maybe he just needed some time off since Burger King decided to bring him back in 2015. And while he was not redesigned, Burger King toned him down, not making everything so surreal. He's used on the side more than in the main ads, which feature real people wearing paper crowns. I think this King revival is what Burger King needed, since it gives them an established mascot that should not burn out from being overused. Just bring him out from time to time. However, I will give them credit on how drastic and surreal the revival was at first, being a bold move that was overall a success, at least for the first part of his run. So the Creepy King gets number 1 on my list yet again. So what did you think of these choices? Which product mascots or spokespeople that were revived after an absence from their company's ads do you like? Let me know. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.